Hey everybody, welcome out to the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee. I realize that my camera is a little bit tilted. It's just a little bit tilted. It's a bit faded. It's celebrating Friday early, folks. But hey, never you mind that. Welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Chris Yee. This is a Q&A session. Today, I will ask questions and you will answer. My first question, how are you today? I hope that you're doing well. Let's see. This is Friday, November 17th. So the last day of this work week here, the last of our normal work days before we're going to be dark next week from anything like live and normal type programmed, regularly scheduled stuff as we're going to celebrate American Thanksgiving. But, we are hard at work actually scheduling and getting everything ready for Dice Tower TV to be going up. That's going to be all during the week of November 20th through, I think, the 26th. I think Tom is a mad man. It's a mad man who's going to make it so that, yeah, it's going to be a live stream, just an ongoing live stream. There's going to be old videos, maybe new stuff. Maybe there's going to be some lo-fi hip-hop beats in there. You never know what's going to hit you with Dice Tower TV. Go ahead and get your questions ready in the chat here. One other thing that I want to mention is that so during the Winter Spectacular coming up, and that's going to be the week of let me make sure I say the right dates here. December 11th through the 14th is going to be the Dice Tower Winter Spectacular, end of the year, best of the year stuff. But it's also going to kick off with a special episode of Board Game Breakfast. In the Dice Tower Discord, we have what's called the mailbag. So if you like this Q&A format, in the Monday breakfast show every other week, we do a From the Mailbag segment where we'll take different questions. We have a different mailman of the week answer some question, answer that question, and then Roy, Wendy, and I ourselves in the studio answer it. So just another way to do kind of a Q&A type thing. So join the Dice Tower Discord, links below, and submit your questions, and we'll take a few for the Winter Spectacular episode of Board Game Breakfast. So I'm going to scroll through the chat here and now see what's happening. What is happening in the live chat? All right. Hitting it off with a good music-based question. Richard Saunders. Morning, Chris. Morning, Richard. What's your favorite song in a complex time signature? 4/4 and 3/4 don't count. If you're not familiar with what that means, the subdivisions of music, 4/4 is the most common type of thing. 90% of pop music is written in that, just a steady standard beat. I really enjoy, I was actually just listening through Dream Theater's album 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, and their second disc is, so the first disc is like 5 songs, each of them are like 10, 12 minutes long. It's Dream Theater. But the second disc is all a song called 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, which is like 8 sections, 8 songs that make up a big thing. And so one of the movements, Solitary Shell, is a beautiful 7/8 rhythm where it's kind of a beat of 4, like typical, and then a beat of 3, but just kind of having that unsteady, strange 1, 2, 3 back. Oh, that one's a really cool one. I really like that one. It actually is a lot like Genesis's. We were just talking about Genesis the other day. Interestingly, was it in crowd surfing, Z and I? Genesis song in 7/4 is Nottingham Fair, just something fair. Salisbury Hill. You can definitely hear the inspiration in Solitary Shell, the Dream Theater song, from Genesis's Salisbury Hill. I think they rounded out the song a lot better. So anyway, that's me nerding about music for far too long. Let's keep it moving. Let's just end it right there, actually. I'm not. I'll plead ignorance on this. Chris, you said that you're good at band members. I used to be more than I am currently. Can you name 3 bands where Kai Hansen has played guitar? Nope, unfortunately not. But I would love to learn if you want to drop that in the chat later. Angela, I'm sorry to hear about that. Putting a cat to sleep that that's never a fun time. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully your day gets better, and take the time that you need. That's sorry to hear about that. Chris, you edit the stuff for the best of the year, best of at the end of the year clips. Uh, do you have a personal favorite best of moment in all those years? By far, by far is Jason walking up while we're, you know, accidentally on stream early. Jason walking up, just being like, "Hey guys, just got here. Excited to play some games. Can't wait for tonight." There's a lot of great moments. I still enjoy going back and rewatching some of those, funniest moments of 22, funniest moments of 2021. But that one reigns supreme for me. Jason, I don't know which Spirit Island expansions best buck, best bang for your buck, or best value what you or not value what you should get first, but there are definitely some more informed people than I. I've only played Spirit Island very minimally. I really enjoyed it though. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Kurt. Would love to see another top 10 list related to music. Yeah, I mean, I I don't want to as much positive feedback as I got on that one where we talked about the top 10 games that should be in the Board Game Geek Top 100. I made a little comparison to like albums, like classic, well-respected albums that consistently make like Rolling Stone Top 100 and all that type of stuff. Um, I don't want to get pigeonholed, and there were also plenty of people let me know like this meant nothing to me. Talk about games, not music. So I'll do it sparingly, but I mean, look at my shirt. I'm going to talk about music. I really am. But also I want to focus, not refocus. I would love to do more top 10 lists that were kind of fun and zany, but at the core we want to keep focused on games. But it would be fun to do like a top 10 albums or something like that. Top 5 Dominion expansions. I'm not going to go through it because at some point, probably, either Wendy and myself, or Tom, Wendy and me, or Tom and Wendy, or some of us, I think, are going to end up doing a top 10 Dominion expansion. But the new Seaside was really good. I thought that was, in terms of the, hey, here's the second editions of sets, I was like, Seaside's already a really good set, but that Seaside second edition got rid of a lot of the cards that I realized I didn't really like from Seaside. So it made an already like great Dominion expansion that had a couple of weaker parts. It like strengthened all of the weaker parts. It's like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer is in the bot battle game. Like he's in, he's just wearing a robot costume and fighting in one of those like battle bots type things. And so Bart's coaching him, and he's like, "All right, Dad, you're against, Killtron 5000. I've done an analysis of all of his weak spots." And then it cuts over to Professor Frink, like, wielding metal spiked plating on all those weak spots. He's like, "Okay, never mind. The weak spots are actually the strongest spots now." uh, yeah, 6 degrees of inner turbulence. Fun. Yeah. Yeah, very fun. Uh-oh, I got a thumbs down. What did I do? I offended somebody. How did Wendy and I come up with our daughter's name? Our daughter's named after a DC superheroine, and it's just a unique name. And so um, I thought that would be cool. I don't know. I didn't want a boring normal name. Like, your name's Tim. Your name is Tucker. Jill. I don't know. That's not quite us. One of Tool's songs uses the Fibonacci sequence as a time signature. I think it's less as the time signature and more the vocal rhythm is spoken in lateralis. I want to say it is. I'm gonna look this up. Lateralis lyrics. Yeah, lateralis is the song. So it uses the black and white R, all I see in my infancy. So the syllabic breakdown of the verses. And then there's also other musical references to Fibonacci sequence, perfect, what do you call it? The seashell type thing, the perfect, not intervals, but anyway, yeah, that whole thing. I think it's pretty neat. All right. What's on the menu for Thanksgiving? So Tom is really nice. So he a lot of us have moved here to Florida for the job, and so Tom was really nice that he hosts a big old thing to get together and everything, and so he's gonna deep fry a few turkeys. We're probably gonna make when he's been making this really solid, like super solid, Parmesan cheese garlic green beans that are just so good. I sound like an old man when I'm like, oh, these vegetables, so good. 14-year-old Chris would think I'm such a sellout. But yeah, and then whatever else ends up getting thrown into those deep fryers. Yeah, there's an interesting question. What's the process on deciding the not top 12, the 12 games of Christmas lists? Um, so so the top 10 lists that we do, those are always our like personal, like my favorite party games and such. Some of them are a little bit more obscure or whatever, but the 12 games we're going for less obscure and less like personal and more kind of blanket recommendations. I think that if you bought these games as gifts for people, you're more likely to have a success rate. Someone on the advanced strategy list is like, why didn't you recommend Weather Machine? Because I think that there's plenty of people that will really love Weather Machine, and they might have been making a joke that I didn't love it, but also I think that that game is clearly more divisive than the 12 that we tried to recommend. These are 12 that we think will go over well with most people. And so we also try to focus on newer, and we absolutely focus on available. Like we go through, we have a big meeting, and we check multiple different online retailers. We check Amazon. There are paid Amazon what do you call those links in the 12 games videos and in some of the reviews that you'll be seeing coming up. So if you click on those affiliate links, we make some money off of the sales that you purchase from that Amazon link. Uh, but we wanted to make sure that those things are just generally available, and it can't be in all locations. But like we have a big meeting together where we like go through a search stuff. So if we recommend it on there, like that anyway. That's part of the process of doing it. Dolly Parton released a new album today. Nope, I haven't heard that yet, but I'm gonna go check it out. Oh, Kai Hansen, famous from Halloween and Gamma Ray. He also played in Iron Savior and Unisonic. Okay, yeah. No, I don't know any of the band members by name from Halloween, but they're a fun band. They definitely are. um, da-dang-gang, da-dang-gang. Ooh, do you often listen to music while board gaming? Do you find that yourself stacking a music list of favorites you and Wendy like, or do you tend to go towards non-lyrical, like no lyric thematic music? We do a mix of stuff, right? Like I don't listen to a lot of like songs, but sometimes. So one of Wendy's favorite bands, possibly her absolute favorite band, is the Bare Naked Ladies. They're just such a fun. They're they're the best parts of the '90s without a lot of the worst parts of the '90s. And I like them tremendously. I think that they're really good musicians. Actually underrated in terms of like musicality and skill because they write a lot of goofy songs and stuff. But seeing them live, I've seen them live twice, and they're really talented. They're super phenomenal. But we'll sometimes be in the mood to like, let's throw something on like that while we're playing something heavier just because it creates a little more levity. It's like the Clemens Franz effect, right? Clemens Franz, the artist, the illustrator for like Agricola and Caverna and some of those games, his games had that little whimsy and silly kind of look to them that it makes a heavy plotting game a little more digestible. And so that's the fun of throwing on something like that. Usually we play quiet, especially because we're learning a lot of games, and music in the background. I think of learning a lot of games, especially like what we do with work, is like can be a little bit more distracting. But when we're like, let's play Tapestry again, I'll put on the Civilization 6 soundtrack, the Sid Meier's Civ 6. It's so good. If we're playing a big Cthulhu game, sometimes I'll put on some Metallica and just something a little heavier. We listen to a lot of Sabaton actually while we're playing different games too. Wendy likes them a lot, which is neat because I like them a lot. Which is my favorite system? Unmatched versus Dice Throne. I'm actually thinking about doing a video. So I did that one comparison video a little whiles back where people were asking a lot about um, Heat versus Thunder Road, and then I threw in the Funko Games Fast and Furious just because I thought that was a more comparable game. comparable, if you're a pinky up type person, comparable to Thunder Road. And then I also compared like Next Station London, Tokyo. So I'm thinking about doing another one of those here soon. And so this might be one that I compare, especially because Unmatched Adventures versus Dice Throne Adventures versus the underappreciated The Wildlands Ancients. I think I want to do that comparison. This is another one of those Q&A, reverse Q&A moments. I'm going to ask the question, what do you think would make some good, relevant comparisons if I do another one of those comparison videos? Preferably newer stuff, newer things that people are like, hey, I'm thinking about buying maybe between these games and seeing. So, that being said, head to head, I prefer Dice Throne. Co-op, I prefer Unmatched. Not to spoil my thoughts too much on a future video. Top 5 favorite gateway games. That's definitely a top 10 list. I'm sure that'll be redone at some point. What I will say is, of the standard bearer kind of classic Euro gateway games between Settlers of Catan, Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, Alhambra, I kind of put it in that camp. I think base game Carcassonne's my favorite, but then Ticket to Ride with some of the expansion maps, particularly Pennsylvania, that becomes my favorite. How's the Korean food in Homestead? Non-existent. Thanks, Elliot. I'm going to go cry now. There's so little food. So little Asian food, unfortunately, in general, and Korean especially. Well, there's a few good Thai places, and they tend to be like Thai and sushi. And you're like, okay, that's quite the mix. But some of those places are good. Some are a little too pricey for me. No good Korean food, but you can buy from a neat place. I'll let you determine how sarcastic I'm being. This place is called Tim's Oriental Grocer and Aluminum Siding. So that's where we can buy some like frozen Korean things that we can take home and cook, and not the best. Top 5 Marvel superheroes. Top 5 Marvel superheroes. My number 1 is Cap. I really love Captain America. I really like how he's portrayed in the MCU. I really enjoyed him playing him in Capcom versus SNK Fighter back in the day. It's funny because of that video game, I really liked Cyclops, and then the more I learned about Cyclops as I got older, I was like, I don't really like Cyclops. Wolverine's fun. He's great, especially in the X-Men animated series. Top 5 Marvel superheroes. Yeah, Captain America. Maybe Star-Lord. To be fair, I only know the MCU for like a lot of this stuff. Groot is pretty great. He's one-dimensional, sort of, of sorts. He's more dimensions filled out, but Groot has some really touching moments. I don't know if I could call him like a top 5 necessarily, but so many good ones. So many good ones. Basically, just kind of the cast of Endgame. That's up there for me. I've not taken my daughter to any concerts. Taking your 6-year-old son to see Springsteen. That's awesome. That is awesome. There's a few bucket list people that I was able to cross off of my like concerts I need to go to. I saw Billy Joel before Dice Tower West 2 years ago. That was a dream for me. Since I was young, I've wanted to see Billy Joel live because I was a cool kid in high school. But finally being able to do that a few years back, that was a huge bucket list item. I don't think my daughter would like to go to a lot of the concerts that I would like to go to. She is currently massively into Taylor Swift, and she doesn't know about the movie. And I'm going to keep it that way for a little bit. I'm fine with Taylor Swift. I don't want to go see like a whole concert of hers, but maybe I'd respect her even more if I see her live, because she's a musician I respect a lot and I have appreciation of, and some of her songs are great. Some of her songs are so boring. So boring. So boring. Did you know that she has bad blood? She's let me know that about 7,000 times. But, respect. What would my character have been if I was in the D&D campaign that Tom is running? So I played D&D, Wendy and I were in a group for like over 4 years. And I was a human um, wow, lost for words here. Human, thieving guy, rogue. I'm sorry. So I would want to do something just completely different. I think I would want to be, and he was very roguish. Like I'll steal when seems good for me, kind of everything. So I don't know. I think I would have fun being like an over the top paladin, and just kind of like a slow guy, but like very self righteous, like very self righteous. And I think that that would be kind of a fun um, just different character, completely different character to play. I think that's what I would do. But I would also intentionally be a little bit slow on the uptake, and just we'll see, we'll see. Um, okay, this is an interesting question, Alex. During the top 10, during each top 10 list, I feel like there are always a few games that I mentioned. Someone says, "Oh, I need to get that played." Is there any talk of doing more catch-up videos? I love the Ketchupalooza series. It is something that we do. The main focus of what we do has to probably be relevant recent games, because that's the value that we provide at the Dice Tower, I assume, right, is providing a massive amount of game reviews. I love doing like the Ketchupaloozas and talking about older games and such, trying games that I've wanted to play. And it's good for us in that it helps us be more well-rounded reviewers and such. But it we do it about every other week is kind of what the scheduling of it is. And I think that's a good amount. Like doing it weekly might be a little bit much, especially because we do the whole live play of it so that we can actually play it here and do the discussion, as opposed to the old format where we had to like try to make time on our own to kind of play it. So I like the new Ketchupalooza format. I think it's good. And I think every other week is probably pretty solid. It's also cool because a lot of games are getting reprinted. So like there's the new El Grande sitting over there like, "Oh, we already did like an old format El Grande Ketchupalooza, but can we just play it again? Because this new one looks really pretty." um, oh yeah, this is a good point here. I'm getting thumbs down from the Toms, Tuckers, and Jills in the chat. I apologize if that's your name. I'm not trying to implicate that you're boring, just that your name is boring. That's the difference. Chris, to be clear, is a super boring name. I looked up the stats. I remember when Wolfram Alpha, when I first discovered that, I was like, oh, you can like, this was like, wow, Wolfram Alpha was like pre Chat GPT, right? Like you could ask it things like, what were the most popular names, most popular boys' names the year that I was born? And it's like, Chris by a million miles. And I was like, oh, that's why my mom chose that name, because she was lazy, picked a boring common name, and that I always had like at least two or three other Chris's in classes with me. Ooh, happily watched you guys play Scrabbleopoly. We were talking about this. Tom and I just played a game not long ago that we would both rate probably a 1. And that will mark the third game that was rated a 1 by the Dice Tower this year. I rated one that was called something Express. It was my last rapid fire roundup. It was basically a game where like you walk up to someone, you flash cards at each other. There's like rock paper scissors steps that are unnecessary, and then whichever rock paper scissors card wins, you do a challenge against each other. And like, not all the rules were written there. A challenge would be like play thumb wrestling. You're like, this is a stupid game. And then a different challenge might be race to the other side. And you're like, the other side of what? The card doesn't say. And then there were challenges that were like, um, lock your hands behind your knees and waddle around and knock the other person over. You're like, this is not a way to like invigorate the beginning of a work meeting. This is a way to get a lawsuit. So I gave that one a 1. Tom gave Scrabbleopoly a 1, and then there's another game coming out. You can expect after Thanksgiving, after a little break here, at some point, Tom will not to bury the lead too much, but yeah, there's going to be another 1 here, 3 in a single year. Um, I do like this idea here. Do a top 10 perfect pairing of board games and songs. I've debated doing this. So this would be like a small, like an individual top 10 list that I would do. I really have thought about this actually quite a few times, because there's a few that I've already paired up. They're always like kind of, paired up. Songs / albums, something like that. No beer, no TV, make Homer something something. Yes. Have I ever have Wendy and I ever had such a different viewpoint on games that it made me question whether I knew her at all? No. We often have similar viewpoints on games, but there have definitely been some differences. Like Acropolis is, we were just talking about this yesterday actually. Acropolis is a big one. I thought it was just super okay. I really didn't love it. Like I liked it just fine. I think I gave it a 6. Wendy gave it an 8.5. And of course, the response to it was, how could a single person give it an 8.5, give it a Dice Tower Seal of Excellence? That topic's been tread many a time. But then it was funny because then it won a Dice Tower Award for Best Welcoming Game. And so Wendy was like, how about them apples? So clearly Wendy's a little bit more in the majority there. What do I think of F1 racing coming to my hometown this weekend? That's right. I'm glad I don't live there because that would sure be obnoxious to have some of the. I think if I'm reading the articles correctly, because I don't actually know much about it, I think that F1 racing is using part of the city, like because they've done that, marathons and street races and stuff, like up and down the Las Vegas Strip. It makes driving from the east to the west side of the city just a nightmare. But hey, it's fine. It's fine. Top Aeon's End expansions. I don't know. I've played a good amount of them. I liked the Outcasts one, the recent one. I thought that had some fun, neat stuff too, and I like their little mini campaigns. I've just been struggling to get through the second Legacy, Aeon's End Legacy Gravehold. So much writing, and it feels like so much work to just like let me play the game, but it's like no, it wants to have you read pages of text and stuff. I think that those mini campaigns, the little I'm now forgetting what they're called, not Odysseys or whatever. I feel like that's a better format at this point. So I think that one did it pretty well. Heavy games equals heavy music. Yeah. Which Weird Al song would best describe your board game taste? I was going to say Bad, and I realized that was actually the original Michael Jackson song. No, that doesn't make sense. I like the. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go with the album title, Mandatory Fun, because board games, they be my job. Yes. Yes. Ooh, the question. If you could have any single superpower, what would it be? I would like to be able to levitate things with my mind, but I would like to be able to do it stronger than I can with my body. Like no it would be so boring to have telekinetic powers, but like only as strong as your actual muscle mass. So you're like, I'm gonna move this rock. And you're like, I guess I couldn't actually normally move that huge rock, so why did I think my brain muscles could do it? I was like, oh, I can lift normal weighted things. Now I want to have superpowers, not slightly easier powers. Also, that could be called the Force. I know that the Force does a lot of things, but come on, as a kid, you always like reach your hand out, like, please let me like, right? Always wanted it. Okay. If a board game feels better / complete with an expansion, does that affect the rating you would give it, even if it makes it a good game? This is a funny one, right? Like where I don't. There's no perfect system to all of this. I have base Dune Imperium. I have still rated on Board Game Geek as an 8.5. I should probably bump that up because I've rated the different expansions 9.5. And so does that mean that Dune Imperium is a 9.5? Yes, because I'm pretty much playing it as a 9.5 at this point. So I really should bump up my rating of the base game. I should do that a little bit more often. I applaud Tom for going through his ratings and updating them. That's a thing that most Board Game Geek users, I'm sure, do not do. That's part of the reason why games stick around high up in the ratings more than you see people, more than you see them represented with plays and stuff. Because who's going through and being like, well, this game really has kind of dropped. It used to be an 8.5. Now it's like a 7.5, which is still good. I don't really go through and change my older ratings as much, so I should. And I think it's okay to say that an expansion elevates the basic game for you. I think it's also, you know, I wouldn't go the other way though, where I'm like, oh, I loved this game, it's an 8, and I play the expansion. I'm like, wow, the base game actually kind of had some problems without this expansion. I don't think I'd go through and lower the base game because I still like the game in totality higher, if that makes sense. I find playing Mozart while teaching a game helps to accelerate the learning process. I don't know about that. I mean, there's all those studies about classical music and then like the counter studies and stuff. I will only speak for myself when I say that classical music sounds like a great thing to do, but a lot of times it's very distracting for me because especially like Mozart and Bach, where you have a lot of like counterpoint and interesting development and tonal changes and stuff. I end up getting distracted by the music. I never study the classical music for that reason. Valerie, you're very welcome for having me introduce you to In Flames. There's a few bands that like vie for my favorite band spot, and In Flames is up there. Metallica, In Flames, Ghost, Sabaton, Amon Amarth. They're all kind of in that like upper echelon for me. Um, oh, this is an interesting. Yeah, thanks for this recommendation. You should read Captain America's John Byrne and David Michelini run on Captain America from the '80s. Okay, I have not read like a single Marvel comic book ever. Actually, I've read more DC. I've read more DC graphic novels and stuff, but um, I would like to get to know Cap a little bit better. I like his characters so much. No, Kurt, I'm not joking. Tim's Oriental Grocer has a truck parked right in front of it that says Tim's Aluminum Siding, and when you go inside that store, you're like, this is definitely a food store, but it's close to not being a food store. And one of my coworkers, I shall not divulge the secret identity of one. I will simply name him as Kenny S. No, that's too obvious. K Sardina. He will go to Tim's Oriental Grocery and Aluminum and regularly order food, like take out lunch things from there, like it comes in the Panda Express type thing. And I walk around that grocer and I'm like, dude, there's no kitchen. Where are they cooking this stuff? It's like $5 and you get a whole thing of like stir fried noodles and shrimp and whatnot, and they're like the most rubbery shrimp that have ever existed. And I'm like, they're just throwing it in a microwave. Yeah, you're not paying a lot for it, but he's like, oh yeah, the quality is pretty. The quality's not bad, especially for what you pay for it. I'm like, I just don't trust the fact that I don't think there's a kitchen in there. Anyway, top 5 ticket to ride maps. Ooh. This would be a fun one to talk about all the ticket to rides. Pennsylvania is my favorite. UK might be close behind it. The legacy map, that's a hard one. Like the replayable legacy is pretty good, right? But like the during legacy, like that might be my favorite one because it's just so kooky and zany. But yeah, Pennsylvania, UK, we'll throw in legacy in there. Um, Poland. Poland, small map, super good. Do I like the original? I might like the original more than Europe, but Europe has some fun stuff. Germany was a little bit of a disappointment. Yeah, probably be that. Probably the original is maybe in the 5. I still like the original Ticket to Ride a lot. Europe's good though. Ah. Lots of Korean places close to me. Well, yes, JoJo, if you want to brag about it. Thank you for the invitation. They're very sweet. Billy Joel live is fantastic. Yes, his voice has not aged a day. It's wild. You see him come out on stage. He's clearly, not the young cat that he was anymore in the 70s. He sits down at the piano. He plays a song. He's out there. He's talking with everyone. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I'm Billy Joel. Yeah, he plays a song. His voice is still buttery smooth. So he came out. He opened up opened up the concert. Then when he first talks, he goes, "Hey, everyone. I'm Billy Joel's dad." uh, he's got a good sense of humor about him as well. What have we got who here? Who? That was really dumb of me. Um, Chris, I need to shake off the hate. Was I talking about Taylor Swift at this time? Because that's probably her best song. If you're referencing that, shaking it off. Um, Express Route by the Op. Yeah, I played it once, but I only soloed it. That's one that I want to sit down with some other people and play eventually. Ooh, it's hard. It's hard to just get all the games played that we want and that we really need to. Oh, Taylor who? Someone said Taylor who, and I was like, Taylor's trick taking game with Taylor Rayner. But no, that's you're talking about Taylor the Swift. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool to hear. You respected Taylor Swift more after seeing the Eras concert. Um, that's the thing is like I respect her a lot. I just I'm very hit or miss with her songs, but her songs that are good are really good. My daughter adores them, so I've heard them plenty. Uh, I'm not judging without proper exposure and everything. I definitely was talking about Taylor Swift at this point. I've not played Kinfire Chronicles. Sounds great though, but good night. Like there's so many big, huge, epic campaigns and so little time. What part of the upcoming Thanksgiving meal am I looking forward to the most? Pies, probably, but man, those deep fried turkey. I'm a dark meat person. Dark meat, light meat. I don't know where you all are at, but dark meat person for me. What is the art in the background? Yeah, this is part of the cover art of Foundations of Rome. This was some of the stuff done for that metal plate. I'll show you really quick. I pointed at you as if to come along with me, but yeah, this is that metal plate on the magnet thing. It did not have a super successful kick. I assume that y'all saw that. I think I wasn't standing in the way. Um, it didn't have a very successful Kickstarter campaign, the first go at it, unfortunately. But I think that if this company keeps it up and they bring this to conventions, like you saw how easy that was to take on and off, and you can switch out the wall art and stuff. I think that'd be great. I really hope that they have more success. Will we be getting a Winter Spectacular? Absolutely. In fact, I mentioned that at the beginning. If you go to the Dice Tower Discord, we're going to do a board game breakfast that'll kick off the Winter Spectacular. Throw some questions in there in the mailbag. We want to have like a special, special way to kick off the episode. How did I meet Wendy? We broke into a building and we decorated it. We redecorated the entire thing as Super Mario Brothers, and I met her before that, but we were accomplices in planning out this whole operation. We had a big group of friends actually that did that, and it was the Institute, the LDS Institute building. Our church has, um, they call it Institute. It sounds menacing, I suppose, but it's like where you can take religious courses and stuff on your own during college, but then also they have like lounge area, hangout. It's good, easy, nice little hangout spot. So we met there, and my brother had this history of pranking it by going in and gift wrapping everything and stuff. So one year it was turn the whole thing into Super Mario Brothers world, and we did great at it. It was awesome. Coins hanging from the ceiling. We painted boxes as sorry if that was pulling on the cable here. We painted boxes as bricks and had those hanging from the ceiling. We tissue papered one of them, so if you punch through it, you could pull a coin out of it. We built like a three-dimensional warp tube, and we had it sticking over in the corner. We put blue butcher paper up on one of the walls and pixel art. We made a whole thing. I had a lot more energy back then. I do video editing now. Do I have a favorite Star Wars themed board game? Yes, and unfortunately, it is the Risk Star Wars edition. I think that's still my favorite one, and it's in its heyday when it was in print. Man, I could recommend that to anybody. It was like a $22 game, and it's not Risk. It's more like Star Wars: The Queen's Gambit, but like smaller production and everything. But really good. You have to balance 3 different theaters of combat, mostly the space battle in the middle. But if you're the rebels, you have to go blow up the shield generator on Endor. It's Return of the Jedi. And on the other side is much more abstracted lightsaber duel between Luke and Vader, but the how you do in each theater kind of affects the other ones. It affects how many cards you get to play. It's a card-driven game, multi-use card-driven. It is not Risk. Naming it Risk was one of the worst things they could have done for hobby gamers discovering that game. But I hope that it sold decently well at mass market, but it's harder to find. It's several years old. It came out when The Force Awakens came out, which I saw somewhere. It was almost 10 years ago at this point, or almost 8 years ago, something like just something that made me feel like surprisingly, wow, I forgot that was that far back. Um, it's harder to find now, and it's way more expensive than it should be, but it's really cool. I've not listened to the Guilty Gear soundtrack. That sounds kind of cool. No, I've not played any of the expansions for Everdell. Was that 1980? Question mark LOL. I don't know what that's in reference to. Oh yeah, best Weird Al songs to describe your tastes in games. Dare to be stupid. That's a great one. Gosh, I love early Weird Al. I love late Weird Al too, but man, early Weird Al. Oh man. Um. Oh yeah. The so yeah, we made a new Dice Tower short. We're gonna try different things. We have a lot of upgrades, so we're trying different things, right? And so the shorts format seems to work well for certain things and not well for a lot of the things that we do at the Dice Tower. So I was like, well, we 3D printed. Joey got the 3D printer working, and he made that Tesseract model, the hand that holds up the platform, and you can rotate and draft the dice off of it. And it looks super cool. So like, let me try something. So I did a quick little experiment on it. We have a lot of upgrades in the library. Maybe I'll try and do something else like that in the future. If you thought that those YouTube shorts worked, if you thought that that was good looking, I think Chris likes more Swedish metal bands than I do, says the Swedish guy. Yeah, possibly. Ooh, this is gonna be an interesting question. Top 5 Korean dishes. Um, Kalbi and bulgogi are like clear front runners. Both kind of sweet marinated meats. The kalbi is the short rib. They slice it so that there's like the 3 little bone pieces in a single strip of meat that you get. Bulgogi is a little bit more shredded steak format, maybe. Um, Japchae, the sweet potato, the glass noodles they call it because they're kind of translucent. Oh, radish kimchi. I like radish kimchi more than I like cabbage kimchi. And if people are saying like I want to get into kimchi, I want to try it for the first time, I think being like eat this rotten piece of cabbage is kind of a hard sell. Try the radish instead because those daikon radishes are so delicious. They're crunchier, they're more fun to eat. They're a little bit I like the flavor profile on them a little bit more. I really like kimchi jjigae. I'm not a huge soup person. I like soup just fine, but some people are like, "Ooh, November soup time," and I'm like, "You live in Florida, Wendy. Why are you why are you excited about soups now? It's still hot outside." Not to name any names, but I'm not a huge soup person. I'll never sit there and go like, "What sounds good for dinner?" I would like almost anything. I would recommend almost anything else first before soup, but kimchi jjigae is probably my favorite soup. Is there anyone that has a different personality off camera versus on camera? I mean, all of us to a degree. Tom is very similar to who he is, but I mean, it's funny, right? Because we all obviously are trying to do our best on camera. That's entertainment and everything. But no, I mean, like, no, I mean, I think what comes through, like, we are more on, but everyone's pretty everyone's pretty much who they are. You know what I mean? Oh, well, thank you, Josh. I really appreciate the nice words that you said. I won't flash them on the screen for for humility. Also, because that was possibly 20 minutes ago. You know, you never know. So, how did we wind up at the Dice Tower? The so I just applied for the job. You know, what I mean, we had met several of the people. Dice Tower West is held in Las Vegas, where we're from originally, and so we've gotten to rub shoulders with people. I met Tom a few times. He didn't remember who I was. When I started working here, he was talking about how someone he he wanted to play Zolkin. He didn't love Zolkin, but Luciani Tashini were like becoming some of his favorite designers. So I was like, I should go back and try Zolkin. And he kept saying that in Q&As, and so I emailed him and I was like, hey, if you when you come to Dice Tower West in Vegas, if you want to play with the expansion, I know that you like variable player powers. Maybe that'll be fun for you. And that was kind of the email. It wasn't because I know Tom has said it very explicit. He doesn't love it when he doesn't like a game and people email him like, you should try it like this. You should make it more complicated. Maybe you'll like it. But I just emailed him and said, hey, I know that you've expressed interest. If you want, I'm happy to teach it. One of my favorite games. So we played the game. And then Tom didn't remember that that was me. Which, to be fair, Tom plays games with so many hundreds of people. And so that was kind of a funny moment when I've been working here for like 6 months or so. And he was like looking through my name, searching my name for emails and stuff. And he was like, wait, you're the guy I played Zolkin with. You're the guy I blew off when I went to Vegas on a different time, So it was very funny. But no, just rub shoulders. Done our own podcast, Wendy and I, for years. Ran a small little YouTube channel, and then applied for the job when the video editor job came up. And it helped having been able to meet with and game with Roy and Mike. Mike and I had been on each other's podcasts and stuff before. So yeah, it's luck. Hugely luck is how I got the job, but also I did put in a lot of legwork and proving my skills and such. Any new to me bands that I've enjoyed lately? What are they called? KFMDF? I don't remember. They're kind of like an industrial metal band, and so been hearing some of their songs lately. I enjoy them. Gosh, there's someone that I just looked. I'm going to open up my Spotify because I'm a professional on camera. Let me look through my recent searches here because I feel like, oh yeah, I spent last night re-listening to the Cowboy Bebop soundtracks. So good, so good. You know what? That's right. Del the Funky Homo Sapien. He's a rapper that I just for some reason never really listened to, but guy's good. Guy is really good. Yeah, I was trying to re-listen through some old new metal. So you're like, wow, what was that era of the 2000s really like? Some of it's good, some of it's not. Oh, Clutch. Mike introduced me to the band Clutch. Elephant Riders is one of my favorite songs. So Elephant Riders, good entry point to this kind of sweet groove metal band. They're really good. But so the premise of Elephant Riders is that there was actually an offer, and I can't remember the history of it 100%, so forgive me my ignorance here, but I forget which country it was, offered to President Abraham Lincoln during the U.S. Civil War the aid of several war elephants to use. And the song Elephant Riders is kind of a fictionalized, like, what if history thing. Like, what would that be like if Lincoln was like, hot dog, that'll win us the war. Go listen to Elephant Riders by Clutch. Fantastic. And then their most recent album, Sunrise on Slaughter Beach, is really good as well. Most underutilized game mechanic. I mean, I can't say this authoritatively, but I would just love to see more multi-use cards. Is there a chance that DC could come to Unmatched? I don't know. Like, that'd be great. I do know that it's hard to find lines of games that can do both. So Simon obviously doing both gives me hope that there's a DC United coming out soon. That's what I would like more, honestly. But DC Unmatched would be super cool. Do I know my mother-in-law's Reese's pie recipe? No, I'm sure that you could Google it though. It's just chocolate pudding. Is it graham cracker crust? I think it's usually graham cracker crust. You add a bunch of powdered sugar into peanut butter, and you make that kind of Reese's. Reese's type peanut butter, and you can honestly just like if you have a mixer, like a KitchenAid mixer, you just keep throwing powdered sugar in there until you see it kind of form that Reese's peanut butter texture. Because in Reese's is that like chalky, fall aparty type stuff. Just do that. Layer the bottom of the graham cracker crust, and then make a chocolate pudding. If you want to make the chocolate pudding thicker, so it really like sits in there well. I think you could just look up that recipe online. I don't think it's like a secret family secret or anything. My favorite in the T game series is still Teotihuacan, the original one, but Tiletum was also really good, and Tekenu I think is solid. I haven't tried Tampanusi. A lot of the other ones are just okay. Trismegistus is too much for me. It's so interesting and fun, but it becomes a bit laborious. And then Tabanusi was, I think Tabanusi was a bridge too far. That got really unique and clever and interesting, but it became less enjoyable. I have enjoyed Star Wars Rebellion. I only played it one time. I was super impressed with it. That was one of those games that I was like, I need to play this. And I don't know if it's worth the effort, especially the effort of finding someone to teach it or finding someone else who wants to play it. And then those big epic games, I would like to play more. But um, man, no, Star Wars Rebellion is groovy. It's super cool. But I don't know. Ooh, this is fun. This is a fun comment here. I was in a hotel lobby when I heard a loud laugh. I immediately thought to myself, wait, that sounds like Chris Yee's laugh. Ah, well, Andreas, I don't know if you got a chance to say hello to me. Yeah, that's fine. If we're ever out traveling at a convention, 100%. If you're like, wow, that's Chris over there, feel free to come say hi. Sorry if we didn't get a chance to say hello, but I'm glad that I was able to grace you with my laughter. Ha 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 ha! Ooh, smoked brisket for Thanksgiving, Josh. Yes, call me. Bum bum. Let's find some more questions here. People talking about Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, she's okay now. Ever heard of the band Magna Carta Cartel? No. Leftovers from some early band members of Ghost. Yeah, I think that there's several bands out there. I think I can't remember the name of the band. There's one that was called like Phantom, and they were like, we're all different ex-members of Ghost. I think that Tobias has like churned through band members a lot in that band. Strange enough, was it? Oh, I forget who it was. Was it Tiago, buddy Tiago from Brazil, or was it one of our friends from Sweden? Recommended to me the Halo Effect, which is made up entirely of former band members from In Flames. I thought, wow, weird. Okay, you guys came together and kind of sound like Clayman era In Flames. That's really neat. Uh, did you produce Z and Tom's live play of Metal Gear Solid? Yeah, I think I was running that one, and I thought it looked cool. The look of the secret missions didn't look as fun. That looked fine to me, like the sneak around. Sneak around's not my favorite mechanism, but sometimes it's done well. But the boss battle I thought looked really fun. I like the idea of a kind of limited boss deck where you kind of figure out their behavior, but you still have that flexibility. They might behave differently. In fact, I just played not Unmatched, Wildland the Ancients last night solo, and that's kind of what that reminds me of, the limited decks for the minions and for the bosses in that game, but you cycle through them enough to get the feel of them, but you still have to play tactically around it. I do like that mix there. People talk about Soup. Top 3 Christmas movies. I really enjoy Elf. And I can't think of any right now. And so I'm not going to answer the question because I'm not in the Christmas movie mindset right now. But I do love watching the Phineas and Ferb Christmas special. That's one of my favorites. And then last night, our daughter wanted to watch the Kim Possible Christmas special where her buddy, Ron Swanson, decided to try to take on a mission without her so she could enjoy Christmas with her family. And it was a very sweet gesture. If you like Dell, you should listen to the hieroglyphics. Noting that, Mr. Delicio. I'm noting that. The hieroglyphics. I might ask you to remind me later. Yeah, Dell, the Funky Homo Sapien. I'm kind of ashamed that I never like really listened to too much of his stuff, and so there's so much good music out there to kind of like look your way back through. Okay, Camp and Lord Huron. Chad, if you would email me those, Chris at dicetower.com. If you have band recommendations, email will help me remember to kind of look them up again in the future. That's awesome. Um, yeah, no, I'll happily listen to check out anything. In fact, there's an artist, Mount Oriander, MT period Oriander. Definitely an indie artist. I was listening to a little bit of his stuff because I saw that I saw that on Twitter. So the illustrator for those Sashi and Sashi games, I'm forgetting her name right now, and I feel bad about that. But she illustrated his new, um, like record, like LP. Is that the right one? Drawing a lot of blanks right now. Christmas movies and vinyls. So she illustrated his new vinyl um, sleeve, and it has that classic Sashi and Sashi games look to it. And so that kind of caught my interest, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm a big Dice Tower fan." So anyway, I've been listening to a little bit of his stuff and enjoying it. It's not my style of music, like that indie type stuff, but he's a good songwriter. So yeah, Mount Oriander is his current band, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. Do we hang out outside of work? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we go to game days and stuff together. I've been meaning to have a housewarming party. We moved houses 6 months ago, 7 months ago, but also we moved at the beginning of like convention and travel season. So any weekends that I was home, I was like, how about not having people around for a little while? But no, at some point, at some point, I will. We'll have everyone over, and then like Thanksgiving here is coming up. When we travel a lot for conventions, we're hanging out a lot outside of work already. But yeah, we've occasionally done stuff, played games together, and go up to game days, game nights over at like the cool stuff. Some of us will travel up there and everything. Yeah. Oh, an Office reference for Megadesk. I did not play Deceased. I actually haven't played any of the Zombicide nor Zombicide spin-offs or anything. So, no, if any of them's gonna get me, it might be Deceased. We'll see when the proper one comes through the office. No, we have not played the new Boone Lake expansion. I know Wendy is chomping at the bits. Um, oh, interesting. Okay, I'm sorry. Joao. Joao, is that how you pronounce your name? Small correction. Said that yesterday De Vere is a Spanish company. They're originally Brazilian. I didn't know that. I thought that they're headquartered out of Spain currently. So maybe, is that what you're saying? They're originally from Brazil. Did they relocate? Because that is interesting to me. I didn't know that. Michael Lance, maybe we should listen to more Ghost. They're from a town less than 90 minutes from where I live. Yeah, there's not. I've never lived at a place where there's like a big music scene. Las Vegas had the Killers, I want to say. Um, Jim Root, one of the guitarists from Slipknot, was born in Las Vegas, but he moved away, I think, rather quickly after he was born. So we don't have like a lot of claim to fame musically. Well, we attract a lot of artists, especially to have residencies and die there. So that's Vegas, baby. Uh, but well, no, I mean that'd be so interesting. Like a lot of my favorite bands do come from what I understand, kind of a small geographic region within Sweden, actually. Yeah. Oh, a second recommendation for Lord Huron. All right, I'll check him out. Pat Metheny Group. Yeah, yeah. Pat Metheny's brilliant. Kurt describes Ghost as the perfect love child between Metallica and ABBA, and it's strangely true. Strangely true. Can we get more videos focusing on painting from Wendy? I don't remember. The last thing that she painted was the new Alley Cat version of Amon Ray. I don't remember if she filmed any of that stuff. It's hard, particularly if she feels like she would need a better paint setup, like a better recording thing. So, those are like a lot of work for her to do, but they're so cool, man. I love like short kind of time lapsey painting videos, like the 2 minute canvas, 2 minute meeple, 2 minute canvas. Why am I forgetting all of the proper nouns currently. Um, 2 minute camp on Board Game Breakfast. Like his stuff is amazing. Yeah, well, we're pretty much at the hour here, so I'm just gonna go through and check the last little dregs of the commentary and such in here. Thank you everyone for the kind words. Oh yeah, that's right, Imagine Dragons. They're the other big band that's from Las Vegas. I never really liked their. I really never liked their sound. Unfortunately, I really wanted to, because they were a big popular band back when I was in high school. Like they were kind of hitting that bigger echelon that they're in now. And I just can't. I really don't like it. I do like Weird Al's cover of, or his version of Radioactive, Really Inactive. That might be a good way to describe myself as well in a Weird Al song. 2 Minute Mini. I'm so sorry. The Plastic Canvas, is that maybe the name of his channel? Plastic Canvas, and then 2 Minute Mini is the name of his Board Game Breakfast segment. Yes, so good. So good. Alrighty, folks. I appreciate y'all coming out to this Dice Tower Q&A here live, spending some time with me. It has been a pleasure as well. So remember, go check out the Dice Tower Discord and submit some questions for the Winter Spectacular Board Game Breakfast. If you have any recommendations of comparison games for me to do, like I'm gonna compare Unmatched with Dice Throne and Wildlands. And I'm curious to see what other people, because I can think of a few other comparisons, but I'd love to see more consumer driven, like thinking about these games, stuff like that. So make sure to go check those out. Thanks again, everybody. So this is the last live thing for this week, this for reals this time. This is the last live thing for a while, so I guess I get the pleasure of signing off from the Dice Tower headquarters. If you are in the United States, have a happy and fantastic and delicious Thanksgiving. If you're elsewhere in the world, enjoy your time as well, and make sure to check out Dice Tower TV. Thanks, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you later on.